Welcome to the Tech on Toast podcast. My name is Chris Fletcher and I'm your host. Tech on Toast simplifies the way you buy and manage your hospitality tech. Do you need help untangling your tech? Head to our website, techontoast.community, and grab yourself a free tech audit. Find your next tech solution on a marketplace, attend our events, or simply say hello. We're here to help support the industry into the next generation. This podcast is brought to you today by Square. Picture this, all the tools you need to run your business seamlessly managed under one roof. From point-of-sale software and hardware to payments, Square's first-party solution integrates it all into one single dashboard. Beyond that, Square also offers team and inventory management, gift cards, and tools that will help you drive loyalty programs and marketing campaigns. So in a nutshell, Square streamlines your operation by pulling everything together under one roof as a single source of truth, helping you save time. Whether you're running a restaurant, cafe, bakery, bar, pub, or club, Square helps you simplify the way you do business and take payments. Square is trusted by over 4 million businesses globally. Get 20% off Square with Tech on Toast off countertop hardware with promo code SQUAREUK20. Visit square.com to use the promo code or to request to speak to one of our sales team. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the next episode of Tech on Toast podcast. And this week I'm delighted to be joined by Oli Cavanagh, founder at StrikePay. Oli, how are you?
Fantastic. Thanks, Chris. How are you? Great. Delighted to join
I'm good, thank you. And I'm glad to see you because last time we spoke, or we've been speaking a few times, we keep missing each other. You had a little bit of an injury. You were just regaling me with your story, which we don't have to do on the podcast, but glad to see you better.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it involves a 9-year-old girl and a pretty powerful water gun. But I won't say
it's not where I thought you were
more.
going to go. When you told me about it, I was thinking, he's fallen off his bike or something like that. So it's a great story for Christmas time, isn't it? When they're all a bit older.
No, we're not allowed to talk about it. She's still traumatized of injuring her daddy, so we can't talk about it.
And where are you calling in from, Oli?
Dublin today.
Dublin, very nice. Is that where you're based? Yeah. Is that where the office is based?
Most of us are based here. We started off here, just over 4 years ago. Pretty much, the idea came the first week of the lockdown of COVID in 2020, and moved into action very, very quickly with a solution for the hospitality industry.
Yeah, it's really quick. And what were you doing prior to this? And tell us a little bit about your journey before you got to StrikePay.
I've been in tech space, forever. Actually, some of it in telco, like yourself. I noticed your background. You went from kind of hospitality to telco, back to hospitality, not to tech. Yeah. So, I was in telco for years, and then I started a few companies. I founded or co-founded, I think, 6 companies now, all tech, in kind of various different spaces. Sold a couple of them. A couple others were learning experiences, let's call them. And then a couple
we all need them.
Yeah. And then a couple of ongoing concerns, and the most exciting of which is StrikePay, which is the company that I'm here to talk about today, which really came out of the demise of cash. During COVID, when everyone stopped carrying cash, and it became a problem in lots of areas, and we couldn't see a solution for it, so we came up with one.
Yeah, and obviously the legislation is about to change. What date is it? Is it September the 30th? Is that right? Is it when the typical legislation?
Yeah, next month. Yeah, sorry, we were in September. Yeah, it's October, and it's hopefully not going to be moved back again. Sort of been moved back once from July, and the reason I say that is, for multiple reasons. One is it's great for the industry. It's great for people who work in the industry. We know. Actually, uniquely, we at StrikePay are probably the only people who kind of know exactly what's going to happen, because we went through it 2 years ago in Ireland, where, at the time we were already market leader in digital tipping for hospitality. The legislation came in, we saw the effect of that. And so we pretty much had the playbook for how it's going to play out in the UK. The very similar legislation. And the reasoning behind it is identical. It's about transparency and fairness, and making sure that employees get the full tips, et cetera, et cetera. So it's going to have a big impact, a positive impact. We haven't seen, nearly 2 years on from the launch in Ireland, we haven't seen any of the negative side of it yet. Actually, there haven't been any big cases of chains being fined money for infringing. There have been a number of infringements, something like 400 in the last article I read, but they were minor, and it was really just for not displaying your policy. on the
Yeah.
wall, and you don't get fined for not displaying that. But what you do get fined
the
for
transparency piece, right? That's the transparency piece around showing how your tips will be dealt with.
Yeah, and so I think it'll probably be similar in the UK, but I don't know. I think HMRC has probably got a bit more oomph behind them. I think they might actually try and find a big name guinea pig to fine, kind of fairly early on, just to set the
I think everyone's going to be on their toes. But it's weird. I don't see. I mean, obviously there's content from the providers around it, but I don't see a lot of content coming out from general industry, that kind of thing around it. I mean, there's been bits and bobs, but I think maybe because you say it's been going on for so long. But I agree, it's too late, too much too late, and let's get it going so we can all move on. And these kids, my boy now works in hospitality, so I now have a vested interest in making sure he gets paid properly, which he does. So which is great news. So tell us a little bit about StrikePay.
Well, the way we approached it in the beginning was because of the size of the market. So really early on, in like within 10 days, I think, of the first lockdown, I'd noticed that not only had I stopped carrying cash, I stopped carrying my debit card and credit card. I just have those on my phone. I completely went cashless, and I know I listed something like in the first week alone, like 6 occasions when I wanted to, or the first, let's say, month, I think it was, when I really sat down and listed, I think it was 12 occasions where I wanted to tip or pay someone and I couldn't. And, that was anything from the kind of the barista in the local kind of hatch where we were allowed to go and get our coffee to to a plumber, actually, because I think a washing machine or dishwasher or something went, and we managed to get a plumber to come out. And I don't even know if that was allowed at the time. But anyway, but paying him was a pain, and because he didn't have a card terminal, and didn't have cash, and going to the ATM was a pain, and anyway, multiple things kind of came together, and I just thought there's got to be something that is super scalable, potentially free, that you can give everyone. Essentially everyone has their own payment terminal, and they can use it for tips, or they can use it for donations if they're a charity, or they can use it for payment if they're a plumber or carpenter or something. And no one was doing it. No one had built anything. Your sum ups and iZettles and Squares and everything have expensive terminals that you have to buy and have to plug. But anyway, so fast forward. So at the time I was kind of working on, we're doing some kind of early groundwork for feasibility for setting up a digital bank, actually, kind of a Revolut type bank with a team of others. And one of the top kind of technical person on that team, I told him that, I told him this problem that I saw, and that I think it's an opportunity. And I'd done a little bit of research, and I kind of, just between UK, Ireland, and the US alone, I calculated 60 million people needed this product, and just in tipping alone, 60 million tipped workers. And I knew they're not going to go out and buy, a sum up terminal or an iZettle or something like that. But if something can be built for the masses, I think they would use it. Anyway, so that chap Charles that I spoke to about it, I said, is there something, maybe it's using RFID or QR codes, or like there's something, or just that using the one device that everyone has, which is their phone, and Apple Pay, Google Pay. We just need something to trigger that payment, and without having a physical terminal. So we did some research. He really looked into it. He came back fairly quickly and said, I do think there's absolutely a solution. I think it's patentable, and I'll quit my job, and I'll quit and join you straight away. So we dropped the whole digital bank thing, and 91 days later, we were revenue generating.
Wow.
Yeah,
that is quick.
Well, that's the beauty of having the right co-founding team. I couldn't build a product. I haven't done any coding in 30 years, since I was in college in Brighton, but like literally the day I left college, I never did any programming, but it was a computer science degree I did. But Charles, who's my co-founder, he has built products for like big companies, including Facebook. He's a seriously good engineer. So if you get the right co-founding team, and it's absolutely critical in any technical company co-founding team to have someone who can actually build the product themselves. And that's why, we reduced a process that might have taken probably a year down to 90 days. and we literally had customers on day one, and they were delivery drivers for Deliveroo and Just Eat. We doubled their incomes on day one.
Wow.
And what we gave them, actually, I have an old. We gave them. We created this product here. You can see that.
Yeah.
So this is just a tag with NFC in it that you can tap with your phone, and it just says, you know, how much you want to tip, and I give a default amount, and the default amount is relevant to the, you know, kind of the role of the person in front of you. So in the delivery driver, it might be, let's say, £3 or something, or you can scan a QR code, and so we gave that to like a couple of hundred delivery drivers. It was just amazing product market fit on day one. Wow. And we so global patent protection filed. We filed it in New York to give us global protection. And that was around the onboarding process, actually, which no one has been able to do. And we knew that to get those 60 million people on board, we needed an onboarding process that didn't need any back office work from us. We couldn't have a support team of 500 people, you know. So we created an onboarding process that looks like this. So that actually is branded. That's the 3 Arena, which is the biggest indoor arena in Ireland, and the O2 Arena in London uses us as well. But what they actually have quite a transient staff going through these arenas, you know, agency workers who maybe only work there one weekend and that you never see them again. So what happens is when someone turns up at the O2 Arena or the 3 Arena and, you know, hey, I'm working this weekend for the event, they say, oh yeah, if you want your tips, go and grab one of those tags in the box. So there's a box of 1,000 of these or whatever. And this is the bit that we patented. The first person that taps it, it says, so it pops up, do you want to activate this? Yeah. And they go, yep. And 20 seconds later, the second person that taps it, by the way, do you want to activate? See that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if I click on activate, it'll be locked to me now. I won't do it because then you can't unlock it.
Yes.
For security reasons. But the second person that taps it is asked, how much do you want to tip Oli?
So cool.
And that whole process from never having heard of StrikePay to getting your first tip is less than 1 minute. And
I think it's just the speed and the transparency of it as well, right? That building product that quick for market often normally would lead to lots of other problems, right? Dropping down in other places. But as you say, product fit was so quick that actually you were hitting the ground running immediately.
Like day one, and we hadn't raised any money. We'd self-funded at this point, and we hadn't, which wasn't too much really. We didn't need to spend, but we both put money into the company, and so you know we had kind of legal stuff for the patents, and we had you know a bunch of other things to buy. But when we had those results, we then went to you know, I think it was 9 high net worth investors, tech investors, and they all said, wow, yeah, of course, no brainer.
Where do we sign? Yeah.
And yeah, no, we were massively oversubscribed. And we chose a low valuation just because we wanted the money quickly. We didn't want to spend 6 months raising money. So we chose quite a low valuation, and £2 million, and got the money in, built out a team, and like literally, you know, that was before, by the end of that month, then we had a ton of businesses in hospitality, hair and beauty, delivery, charities. Actually, Make-A-Wish Foundation, one of the biggest charities in the world, we're about to spend an absolute fortune with Barclaycard for a tap to donate terminals in like 300 locations or something, and they've switched and took our QR codes and put them in 1,400 locations for less money. So the reach was massive, basically every spa in the country. And initially they were going to put 1 in each spa. And what they ended up doing is putting in like 3 in each spot. So they put in basically a tap to donate. So we were using NFC as well, tap to donate point at the deli counter, and also at the coffee machine, and also at the till. So and instead of having just 1 per store, they had kind of lots and lots of reach, and we were able to track every single payment that went through to specifically which spa it was, where it was it at the coffee machine or was it the deli counter? So we had all that kind of really nice stuff tracked. And so anyway, all the charities started coming to us asking for this tech because we were, I guess, first to offer it or introduce this scan to donate. And at this point, we didn't know which way we were going, really. We were just trying everything. So we're trying charities, businesses, like a lot of businesses like plumbing firms and such like that started using us as their payment terminal, and delivery drivers for cash on delivery. So, IKEA, for instance, their delivery drivers, when you when you order on IKEA's website, it asks you, do you want the driver to assemble this item, bed or whatever? If so, you settle with the driver.
That's right. Yeah, you pay them a fee, don't you? I can't remember, or cash or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's us. And so it looks like where is it? They basically have it on their phone. They have the driver has an app, and they basically just show their phone screen to the customer, and it's a QR. They just scan it, and the payment then goes, straight to head office. So we fixed a few problems. We fixed shrinkage, if you're familiar with that term. Money was going missing.
Yes. Worked in retail for a bit. I know shrinkage.
Yeah. So we fixed shrinkage. We fixed having to carry a float, which no one likes doing. Drivers that became target for robberies, all sorts of things. And the payments were all immediately, up in kind of head office, before the driver had even finished.
So how did you? Because already in the space of 5 minutes, you've got 5, 6, 10 use cases quite quickly across, and scalable use cases. How do you then take that to the next bit?
Well, so this is the thing, Dan. Too many use cases, actually.
Yes.
Chris.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned like really badly the hard way, 15 years ago, is to try to is doing too many things. And I had a booking platform in 2006 before the iPhone came out, and you could book anything. You could book a restaurant, you could book a haircut, you could book a massage, you could book a car rental, you could book a hostel, a hotel. And we were the first mobile booking platform. So it was mobile only, not web.
Wow.
And we were the first to do that. Like the first mobile car rental booking in Europe was through us. The first hostel booking for mobile in Europe was through us. We did all of that, but we were stretched way too thin. And if we just focused on, car rentals, if we just focused on, let's say, taxis, we'd be Uber.
Yeah.
Before Uber, we just focused on, hair appointments, we'd be Treatwell or, someone by now. And then the restaurant side would be kind of Open Table. And so that really, really big lesson learned. So we ran out of money before the iPhone was launched, and the iPhone fixed all our problems. And but still, we would have been too broad. So now forward to StrikePay. So I've described, 6 different use cases to you. And what we've done gradually is narrow down and really focus in just where the money is now, which is just tipping. And that's because it's the least price sensitive, so we can have nice margins. It's also fixing, a real problem for both parties. People want to reward good service, but they can't because they have no cash, and people obviously want to get tipped. So we're really fixing a beautiful problem for both sides. Yeah. We're also fixing a problem for the business owners, and because they're initially our pitch actually evolved from just fixing that original problem for the customer, for me, because I wanted to tip. We then started to be brought in as a staff retention tool. So we've then fixing the problem for the restaurant owners. They couldn't get good staff, so that now with really good tipping solution in place, they can be sure that the staff's income will be solid. They will get tipped easily. Now that the proposition has actually shifted a little bit again, it's around the legislation, obviously, for the UK market anyway. So we've narrowed that down just for tipping, and we're in a couple of different markets where we're certainly first in all tipping verticals in Ireland. We've basically got the monopoly in Ireland practically, across hair and beauty and hospitality. In the UK, there's a couple of other players, but they're the 2 verticals, hospitality and hair and beauty, where we're really doing well.
And I think, I'm guessing the feedback from the customers or from your users, I suppose, is minimal because it's so quick and so clean. Because I'm guessing, do you get any feedback, or is the feedback more about we need to use it in this way or we need to use it in that way? How do people kind of connect with you over the product?
Yeah, no, we do get feedback, and actually, so after everyone leaves a tip, they're asked, to take a survey, and what happened. So we're getting lots of reviews on various different places, Trustpilot and Google reviews and places like that. A lot of them were confusing who they were reviewing actually. So they're supposed to be reviewing StrikePay, and we'd have things like, "Oh, it was the best steak ever." And so they ended up reviewing the restaurant. So we actually turned that into an opportunity, into a feature, which is actually kind of cool. But we did get a lot of feedback from users actually, and we used that to change the product. So we've evolved a couple of times. Actually, we completely rebuilt the platform about a year after we launched, in order to do, one thing really specific, which was make it faster, cleaner, simpler, because there was the danger of scope creep, feature, new feature creep kind of coming in, and people, all the sales people coming in saying, "Hey, this, restaurant wants this," and so we started adding things, and that just made it clunkier, and also there was too much information on the page. Our conversion rates went down, and people were saying, "Oh, our clients want to be able to leave a message, saying, hey, we really loved the new menu or the salad, whatever." So adding options for the users, whilst it seemed like a nice idea, and we were listening to our customers, turned out to hurt us actually. Yeah. So we paired it back. We rebuilt the platform, moved our servers, moved our the stack was actually built in order to be lightning fast. We wanted to be really instant feeling, because it's a web app, so it's not a native app, which was a deliberate decision, by the way. We didn't want anyone to have to install an app, so the web app has to be lightning fast.
Why did you take that decision? It's interesting because I agree, but what was the thinking behind that?
It's very difficult and expensive to get people to install apps. And then you're maintaining multiple versions as well. You're maintaining, Android and iOS, and you're also maintaining the web version. And so what we decided was to build, the world's first web interface, which it looks like you're in an app, actually, really. Yeah. And it's super, super fast, faster than reaching in your pockets for change or cash.
And I think there's a bit of app fatigue, right? That there's a lot of apps out there, and people, as you say, I think I use 5 apps out of my 90 that I've got on my phone. So I think it's a smarter decision.
Yeah, but the most amazing thing out about that, which was, so it's an e-commerce transaction when you use StrikePay because it's web, and initially when we started, our conversion rate, so that's someone from tapping to actually making the payment, was just under 50%, about 47-48%, which for an e-commerce transaction is really, really good. Amazon would love that kind of, it's really good for an e-commerce transaction, but we didn't feel it was good enough for for a tip. So after we made all those changes that I just described, we got it up into the high 90s, like 97-98% now, which is ridiculously high. Yeah. So someone, when they go to tip, even if they're pretending to tip, they are going to tip.
Yeah, and it's still going to happen.
Yeah, so that was great then for the revenue growth, and also for the satisfaction of our client, of our users, but also the satisfaction of the people trying to make the tip, that they were able to do it. Like a lot of the you notice the feedback then in our review channels then kind of shifted to, wow, I can't believe how easy and fast that was.
And I mean, you are obviously super exciting in this space, and I think that. Just from talking to you for 20 minutes, I already you've got. I think this won't be the last thing you do, obviously. So unless I'm wrong, but I get the feeling that you're. What do you think? Because the fintech space has been really interesting, particularly in hospitality, because it hasn't really been. The biggest impact has been, I think, digital tipping, and then the Trump legislation changing. What do you think the future looks like for the industry in terms of fintech in general?
I can see there's some consolidation happening of people kind of doing various different things. And I've seen some platforms kind of try to add tipping in as a feature and it not really succeeding. I think the opposite is going to happen. I think, tipping will obviously stay, and it will become more and more separate to the business. I mean, what we're seeing is that people don't want it touching their business at all. So they don't want it going through, their card machines. They don't want it going through their booking platforms. They really want it completely separate, and that's going to be accelerated.
It makes total sense.
Legislation. Yeah, but what I do think is going to happen is that people like us are going to actually become a little bit more vertical. And so at the moment, I said we're really strong in 2 verticals. You know, there's other people who are still doing, you know, the 6 different verticals that I described, and I think they're going to kind of have the same lessons and, or, you know, strategy as us, which is actually just become more narrowly focused. You'll see players who are only doing hospitality. You'll see players who are only doing, you know, hair and beauty, and things like that. And I think that is going to happen. I think, well, I know from some of the approaches that we've had in the last number of months that tipping is becoming actually strategic, which we didn't foresee. You know, we didn't foresee the tipping legislation really either, actually. So we've been kind of lucky on a few fronts. But the reason, or what I mean by strategic, is that other much bigger decisions now are being made based on how tips are handled.
Yeah, because I think for so long it's been such a cloudy, you know, people within the industry, or, you know, whatever. Some people have done it right, some people have done it wrong, but for ages the management of it and the speed of the cash getting back into the people's pockets has been poor, right? So it's been, for a long time, it's been this grey area. So for someone to come along and kind of clean that up very quickly and give direct line of sight of where the tips are going, and also be able to reward, you know, the people get their money who earns it, I think it's huge. And I'm not surprised at the hands-off approach from the operators. I really think they can kind of go, you know what, this is your bag, we'll stay out of it, because it makes sense to them, right? They don't want to get involved in that.
No, exactly. And we saw that happen when the legislation went live in Ireland, you know, nearly 2 years ago. There was a massive kind of exodus from anything to do with tips.
Yeah. And what about the future view? I mean, you talked about the second vertical. Have you got any other plans with the product? I mean, as you just said, then it's building features can be tricky, as in adding things just for adding's sake. Where do you see the product going?
We do absolutely have some pretty big roadmap items and new product ideas. It probably wouldn't be the place to share them, to be honest.
That's fine.
But you know, there's a number of things that will make it more kind of future-proof and you know, easier for everyone involved. And we've got some kind of affiliations now as well, which actually are quite interesting. So there's quite a few things that we could do. We could potentially even, you know, it's probably not going to happen, but you remember, actually, you know, my co-founder Charles, that I talked to you about what we were actually working on before this.
Yes.
You know, was like, I mean, some of that stuff potentially could even kind of come back into play. But I'm really keen not to get into that, you know, that area that I described where you're trying to do too many things. You know, we've been really like focused and narrow. And I
think being laser focused on your, you know, your original mission is crucial, right? And that's the clarity you had from day one, right? From the minute you launched, when you've had those, as we mentioned, the use cases that were proved very quickly. I think that gives you clarity as well, doesn't it? And that laser focus to be able to go on and continue developing the product, sure, but not straying from where your real success is at. Yeah,
exactly. And also, I mean, the margin, I think, so there's a number of people in this space now, and I think we're probably the only profitable, you know, for a number of reasons, you know, like what, and actually we do look at margin, you know, we focus on things that, so in across those verticals, there were different margins and some of it were unattractive. So we focus on what's, you know, profitable. And another thing that actually really helped us, which was slightly out of our control, was when the world kind of, you know, the funding environment started looking very different a couple of years ago. And we were kind of, at the time, kind of planning our Series A funding. So we'd raised about £2 million at that point in pre-seed and seed. And we were kind of thinking we're going for a big number for Series A. And the advice from our investors was, guys, this is, the world has changed. It's going to be very difficult. And the metrics have changed now. And everyone's taking a haircut. You know, Stripe have taken a 50% kind of valuation cut. You guys are going to have to do the same. So it wasn't looking attractive for us to raise money, even if we could. So what we did was I shifted towards a path to profitability. So we cut our costs, which meant reducing the size of the team significantly, and focusing and dropping things that weren't attractive to us, which was the non-tipping aspects, and just focusing where the high margin was, and within that even specific niche areas that were higher value tips. And so with the team then, like literally a fifth or a quarter of the size, since then we've 10x'd the business, and we're growing organically now, a sales-driven growth, which is kind of amazing for a company in this space. And as I said, I think we're probably the only people doing that.
It's a real lesson, isn't it, to people who are listening in, who are thinking about whatever business they're running, particularly tech, actually to learn that sometimes being bootstrapped and understanding every pound that you're spending or planning on spending it's just so much more valuable when it's when it's not someone else's. Do you know what I mean? And it helps you that respect your company a little bit more, and the fact that you've built like you've built from there is really interesting.
Yeah, and also both myself and Charles, have had the painful experience of having a former startup running out of money, so we knew what that felt like, and which not everyone starting a company knows. And pulling the trigger on that move, actually, Charles did earlier than I kind of wanted to, but thank God he did, or we did, because it was it saved us. And now we've got our investors love us, because we've shown continuous growth, with much lower costs, and with got some phenomenal opportunities to that now as well, actually.
In terms of coming to the UK and servicing the UK market and the kind of people you want to meet and talk to, is it around the SME space, or is it everyone? Is it the enterprise guys? Who would you not rather work with? That's not the right thing to say, but who's your ideal customer, I suppose, or does it matter?
Yeah, so we, as part of that shift, not shift, the kind of the paring back, that I described, we switched our strategy from, we had boots on the streets. We had a lot of people kind of in the UK and Ireland on the streets, kind of knocking on doors, trying to get new, restaurants, salons, etc. on board. So we switched to a partner strategy. Actually, we acquired a UK competitor around about that time as well, called Grazie, which is doing the same, very similar thing to us. And so that gave us our UK entity and, feet on the ground. But what we did was, and because of our other people can sell our product, and I think our competitors don't have that luxury.
Right.
That setup process that I just gave to you, no one else can do that. So it's quite involved to get a new tipping system in. You have to, there has to be account managers, there has to be, pre-sales activity for everyone else. We don't need any pre-sales activity, pre-sales engineers or account managers in the same sense anymore. Now, obviously, we do have people in sales and marketing, but we don't need a lot. So because we deal, then with partners who can sell our product for us. Yeah, no. So we can actually, we can sell. So we have orders fulfilled, every day by a partner, and so we see businesses, we see a chain of restaurants in the Midlands in England, a chain of Italian restaurants there. I see all the transactions coming through on our live dashboard, and I'm like, oh, who are those guys? And I speak to the team. Is that anyone spoke to them? No, never heard of them. So we like that. I don't think anyone else in the space. I don't think that'd be possible for anyone else in the space to all of a sudden see a chain of restaurants using their tipping product.
That's a nice place to be, I'm sure.
Not having had a single conversation with them ever from anyone on the team.
That's a really good place to be. Look, I mean, I can't iterate enough how important this issue is that you're solving, or solved actually, and what's going to happen in the UK over the next 3 to 4 weeks as the legislation goes live. The best way to get hold of you guys is, I guess, visiting your website, is it?
Yep, StrikePay.co.
StrikePay.co.
Originally it was Strike, and the Strike came because it was just basically tapping your phone to make a tip. Yes. So Strike, that was the name, and we added on the pay for a couple of reasons. One is a really, really big company with a similar name knocked on our door, and and the other is SEO ratings. We didn't think we were ever it was going to be a bit of a challenge to get Strike to the top of SEO.
Yes.
But once we added the pay, it also describes a little bit like what we do, because we don't maybe we should have added tip, but at that point we didn't know what we were going to be focusing on. But anyway, so it gets us to the top of SEO ratings now. You just put in StrikePay, you get straight to our website.
And SEO is something I've been learning about the last couple of years, and I didn't realize how crucial it was to your business until I started doing that, actually. And it was the first thing I invested in when I did Tech on Toast, to understand that actually SEO and partners SEO is really useful to your own growth. So I love the fact that you're using a partner strategy as well to grow the business. I think it's crucial.
Our newest product is this one, actually, which is a NFC contactless stand that you can just tap with your phone and tip either an individual or the whole team. You have a choice of whether it's pooled or not. And but also then following that, it invites them to leave a review on TripAdvisor or whatever, OpenTable or whatever it is. That's the kind of people that a lot of places are ordering now, and it's just being fulfilled by a partner.
All right, look, lovely to meet you. And you can find StrikePay's well on the marketplace, guys, if you're having a look. That was Oli Cavanagh. Oli, say thank you and goodbye, and we shall see you soon.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Chris. Great to talk to you.